Karen pulls a knife on me in a toy store. My sister is a US Marshal and was with me. This story dates back a bit to when I was about 6 weeks shy of 21. For reference, my family is a bit scattered age-wise. I have two oldest half-sisters, same father, different mother, who are Anne, 12, and Betty, who does not appear in this story due to being halfway across the planet, 10 years older than me, and two younger half-brothers. Same mother, different father, who are Ed, 7, and Chuck, 11 years younger than me. At the time, I lived on my own as my parents had both passed away and had gotten a subsidized apartment. Note, still have the subsidy. I'm on my third apartment since this story. Massachusetts is expensive to live in, and there is no way in hell a retail worker can afford to live alone here without some form of assistance. So, Chuck's 10th birthday was coming up, and Anne was in town visiting her mom, Lucy. Anne is a US Marshal who was working out of San Francisco at the time. She offered to take me out to the nearby toy store to shop for a present for Chuck after I got off of work. My store's dress code for us peons, at least at the time, was pretty much whatever was non-offensive for a shirt, pants or shorts, closed-toed shoes, and a green apron smock with the store logo on it. So at the blessed time of 4 p.m, Anne picks me up, we go over to the toy store and we split up. Me going for the video games to get a Game Boy game I knew my brother would want, my sister going over to the bikes as his old one had been destroyed by an idiot bus driver. Thankfully, while my brother was not on it. Ed was also with us as Anne had picked him up at the rink near his high school after he finished hockey practice, and he came along with me. After locating the game, getting the employee there, Natalie, who I was dating at the time, to get it out of the locked case for me, and I paid. I started chatting with Natalie and asking about our upcoming date night. After a few minutes, another customer comes over. Ed and I start to walk to the front. And as we pass the display of Xboxes, of which Ed had just gotten one for Christmas, and I had one as well, and we were both early adopters of Xbox Live, I hear the mating call of the wild Karen. Karen, excuse me. I ignore this as I am not wearing the uniform of any store. I left my apron in Anne's rental car and keep walking. Karen, aren't you going to help me, you fat F? I'm a large guy, 6'1", and at the time about 300 pounds. I've battled with depression since my mother died when I was 11 and 8 months after Chuck was born, funk drunk drivers, and I have a habit of eating to cope. My weight and depression, along with my poor eyesight, conspired to keep me out of the Coast Guard when I tried to enlist on 9th of December 2001. I don't work here. Of course you do. I see you here all the time talking with that thing by the Nintendos. Note, Natalie is trans and was in the process of transitioning at the time. She wasn't very passable at the time. Madam, that's my girlfriend. Karen, oh, so you're a faggot too. And where are you taking this boy? Pointing to my brother, E. That's my brother. I sense this is starting to get ugly, so I turned to E and quietly but firmly said, go find Anne now. Ed literally runs. He knows that when I get quiet, shit has hit the fan. Monolight Hulk mode, stage 1 has arrived. Karen starts walking towards me menacingly and I start backing up, not realizing she's backing me into a corner. Karen screeching something about all facts are pedophiles and how all trannies should be executed publicly and similar. I finally realize I'm literally backed into a corner with this crazy Karen in front of me and have no escape. Monolight Hulk mode stage 2 kicks in. Leave me the fuck alone. That's when it happened. I see the knife in her hand. I still have the box cutter from work in my pocket, but it will do nothing in this case except maybe scratch this crazy bitch. Monolight Hulk mode stage 3 imminent. All hands to battle stations. This is not a drill. But then the next thing, everyone in the store and maybe even several people in the parking lot hears, Federal agent, drop the weapon. 3 things happened in the next second. Karen and I turn to see Anne pointing her gun at Karen. Karen drops the knife on the floor and Karen's bladder evacuates, leaving a bright yellow puddle on the floor. Natalie and Ed appear on the scene, followed shortly after by the store manager and the LP officer. Before I could fully process what had just happened, Karen is in handcuffs and has resumed screaming all sorts of vile homophobic and transphobic shit, and Anne is asking me if I'm alright. I just collapse as the adrenaline stops, smacking my head on the shelf. I woke up 10 minutes later to a paramedic taking my vitals, Natalie, Ed, and Anne looking at me with worried looks on their faces, and the absence of banshee-like ranting from Karen. Aftermath, I wound up spending the night in the hospital. I had a concussion, a hairline skull fracture, and a nasty cut from hitting the shelf. Still live alone, but I've dealt with some of my depression issues to the point I can now work full time. Ed is now a major and in the Air National Guard and has a lovely wife and 5-year-old triplets. Chuck is an FBI agent, and he and his boyfriend just announced their engagement. Anne is still with the Marshal Service, mostly handling administrative tasks these days. Betty is still the quietest of the family. Natalie and I split up a year after. We're still friends, and she's now married with 3 adopted kids and is managing a big blue electronics store. Karen is still in prison. She was initially sentenced to 2 years in prison plus 5 years of probation, attempted assault with a dangerous weapon plus hate crime enhancements, but apparently got into a fight that nearly killed another inmate, so she ended up getting another 15 to 25 added to her sentence and was recently denied parole for the 2nd time. So that's the story for today's video. A thumbs up if you like it, and I will see you in the next one.